אני רוצה להכיר לכם אישה מעניינת. סולדד מצ'אדו היא מנגישת מדע מאורוגוואי. יש לה תואר ראשון בכימיה ותואר שני בתקשורת המדע, והיא חברה בקבוצה של מנגישי מדע ברוח הזמרים הנודדים של ימי הביניים. יחד הם משתמשים בכלים מן התיאטרון, סיפורים וסטנדאפ כדי להגיע לקהלים מגוונים. לפני שנדבר איתה, אני רוצה להציג לכם דוגמה לדרך בה היא מתקשרת מדע באמצעות סיפור. נפגוש אותה מהצד השני של הסרטון הקצר הבא.
Hace 62 años, mi abuela dejó todo lo que conocía en su pueblo de Galicia y se embarcó con su marido y sus 3 hijos a lo desconocido. Ella siempre contaba que el viaje duró 18 días y, lo que es peor, 18 noches. Imagínense el miedo. Pero imagínense el miedo de los primeros navegantes, los que llegaron en los primeros viajes. Eso era miedo. No solo tenías que convencer a la tripulación de 3 barcos de que no se iban a caer por el borde del mundo y convencer a la reina de que te pagara el viaje con un huevo, sino que una vez embarcado te enfrentabas al mayor asesino de alta mar, el Escorbuto. El Escorbuto no solo es una banda punk, sino también, yo sé que la conocen por eso, ¿quién tuvo Escorbuto? Levante la mano. Sino que también es una enfermedad que se produce cuando las hebras de colágeno, que es la proteína que forma nuestra piel, el pelo, los huesos, no se pueden unir formando fibras resistentes, entonces se deshacen. Cuando nosotros pensamos en un pirata, nos imaginamos un hombre viejo con el pelo enmarañado, sin dientes, encorvado, con un loro en el hombro. Y bueno, todos esos son síntomas del escorbuto. Salvo el loro, ¿no? Y bueno, esta enfermedad se conoce desde hace mucho tiempo y su cura fue recordada y olvidada muchas veces a lo largo de la historia. Cuando empezaron los primeros viajes hacia nuestro continente, los portugueses tenían una idea de que el escorbuto se podía curar, pero pensaban que cualquier ácido venía bien. Entonces, arrancaron a probar y dijeron, bueno, limones, vinagre, ácido sulfúrico. No, en serio, ácido sulfúrico. Bueno, lo del ácido sulfúrico no funcionó muy bien, pero lo de los limones fue un éxito. Y más cuando llegaron a Brasil, los juntaron con caña y se hicieron unas caipiriñas, pero que bailaban samba con la pata de palo. Las noticias viajaban lento, pero los ingleses se enteraron de esto y dijeron, esta es la nuestra, vamos a curar el escorbuto. Ellos no tenían limones, tenían limas, y no sabían que las limas son muy poco efectivas contra el escorbuto. Y para peor, las tomaban como jugo o la mezclaban con ginebra y se hacían un gin tonic que no bailaban nada porque las tripulaciones se seguían enfermando. Así que, bueno, llevó mucho tiempo, recién a principios del siglo XX se descubrió cuál es la causa del escorbuto y cómo curarlo. Resulta que hay una sustancia que se llama ácido ascórbico que es fundamental para que las hebras de colágeno puedan formar puentes. Cuando no tenemos esta sustancia, perdemos la suavidad del pelo, perdemos la elasticidad de la piel, las encías no pueden sostener los dientes y pasan un montón de cosas porque estas fibras no se mantienen fuertes, no tienen puentes que las unen. Y ahora sí, con la cura del escorbuto, el ácido ascórbico, a viajar se ha dicho. Y ya Colón hubiera querido saber esto cuando llegó al Caribe, que con limón, ron y hierbabuena se hubiese hecho un mojito, pero que bailaba la Macarena. Yo al final pienso que en este clima político tan complicado tendríamos que pensar un poco más en puentes y menos en muros. Gracias.
Shalom to Soledad Machado, a science communicator and a founding member of Bardo Scientifico, a modern take on the age-old bards. They are using tools from theater, storytelling, and stand-up comedy to tell stories about science that engage audiences of all ages. She has been part of a science communication program from the School of Chemistry since 2007, and in 2018, she also started a Gusto a Ciencia, a science festival that takes place in bars. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So my first question for you is, what do Bardo Scientifico do? How do you communicate science and to whom?
Okay, we are a group of scientists, science communicators, science teachers from very different parts of the country, different sciences. We come from physics and chemistry and computer science and anthropology, and we all have very different and rich backgrounds. And our main goal is to engage different audiences with science through stories. Um, we have our name Bardo Científico. It comes from the old tiny bards, like those were poets in the medieval times that went from town to town, telling stories, telling legends, telling news, usually singing, sometimes dancing. We don't do much of that, but we do some of that. And also in Spanish, in Uruguay, where I'm from, bardo means like party or having a good time or having fun. So it has the double meaning that we really enjoy.
Okay.
We mostly engage with older audiences, let's say 16 and up. We have done projects and presentations for younger people, but we really think that science communicators shouldn't be just for kids and like schools. So everybody should and can enjoy science. So that's what we do.
But if I'm thinking about most scientists, they can't really sing or dance or do stand up without looking, well, let's say a bit ridiculous. So what is your what is your suggestion to me or to other scientists who want to communicate our science?
I think the most important thing whenever you do science communication is to bring your whole self to the activity you're doing. Like maybe you can't sing and dance, but maybe you juggle or maybe you do magic. I don't know what you can do. And even just standing there and having a conversation and being open to have a dialogue, that's more than enough. And you don't need to do the whole singing and dancing. Yeah, you just have to meet people where they are and bring your whole self and be respectful of others and just have fun, and the rest will come.
Many scientists, not all of them, of course, but many, think that the public is maybe too ignorant or not smart enough to understand. So it would be a waste of time to talk with, general public, and they should save their time to speaking with the students and other experts. What would you say to them?
I don't think I can use bad words here, so I will use a metaphor. I always say that science communication is all about like translating. Let's pretend I meet someone who comes from the Czech Republic and I don't speak Czech. They ask me for a glass of water, and it's not that the concept of giving someone a glass of water is super complicated and mystic and mysterious. It's not that they are more intelligent than I am because they speak Czech. It's not that I am stupid because I don't understand. It's just that we don't speak the same language. And if we could find a language that we both speak, let's say English, like we're doing here, like I don't speak Hebrew, but we both speak English. So we can find some common ground and we can have a language that we both understand, and then we can like start communicating and transmitting the ideas.
That's a beautiful analogy. Thank you. I think that we have another problem in science communication. I see so many beautiful activities, really beautifully crafted and very engaging. But the people who are exposed to that, the people who actually participate, are the educated people, the ones who like science anyway, the one that would bring their kids to science museum or go to a stand-up science event. It's not really everyone. How do you try to get to other audiences, the people who don't think about themselves as consumers of science-related entertainment?
Yeah, that is such a difficult problem with science communication, and it's something that we have to be very mindful. One of my favorite quotes about science communication and presentation is if you make a presentation and you don't have an audience in mind, or you make a science communication piece and you don't have an audience in mind, it's like writing a love letter and then addressing to whom it may concern. And that is not the best way to go at it. So just try to be very mindful of who is not there and why. Like, we have social media now, and you can like know so much about other people, and you can reach people that we never could before. And so yeah, be mindful of who is not there and why, because sometimes the barriers are informational. Let's say they don't know that things are happening, but sometimes there are very real barriers to entry to engaging with science, and that is in part our fault. Let's say if you're doing a thing in a venue that is not accessible to wheelchair users, you're not going to get wheelchair users. Mm-hmm. And they might benefit from your presentation. So you always have to be thinking, who is this from? Because science communication is not for me, because I already know the content I am going to be sharing. The science communication activities are always for someone else. And whenever you can remove barriers, using plain language, speaking with respect and not thinking you're better than other people, those kind of things are very important. And sometimes you have to think outside the box and meet other people and ask them, like, why have I never talked to a group of, I don't know, graffiti artists? Maybe because they think science is not for them, and that is partly my fault, because I believe that science is for everybody. So you have to find a common language. And sometimes you even have an actual language barrier. For example, in Gusto a Ciencia, we are the first science activity that has sign language interpreters, and that is sad that we were the first to do that no one else before us thought, like, hey, maybe deaf people don't engage with science activities, not because they're not interested, but just because they don't speak the language, like literally. So yeah, think who isn't there and why, and just get outside your echo chamber and start meeting people who are different. And yeah, just go about being a huge nerd and being very excited about science, and that will get you a long way.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Soledad Machado. It was a beautiful conversation, and it's really interesting to see how, although we speak different languages, the issues we deal with are very similar on the other side of the world as well.
Oh, yes, certainly.
Thank you, and hope to see you again soon.
Okay, thank you.